Good morning, dear children. Today we are going to study from EVS 2 textbook, chapter number 8, the beginning of settled life. In this, firstly, we are going to study the beginning of domestication of animals and agriculture. How domestication of animals started. As we know, children, the domesticated animals like the dog, goat, sheep, cattle, buffalo, etc. are useful to man in many ways. The domesticated animals are useful to us. For example, dog guards our house, goat, from goat we get meat, milk, from sheep also we can get wool, cattle, buffalo, we get milk, etc. Now there are three main steps in the domestication of a species of any animal. Here we saw that a modern bull is shown to us, and this is the image of human being and a reconstruction of an ancestor of the modern bull, the wild bull. The wild bull is like this and the modern bull looks like this. Man uses the modern bull. Now there are three main steps, as we said earlier. They are capture of the wild animals. So the first step is of capturing the wild animals. First we need to capture the animals. So the early man, he captured the wild animals, then taming the captured animals, that is training them to live with humans. Taming the captured animals means training them, to train them to stay with humans. This is the second step. Next is obtaining useful materials like milk, etc. from them and training them to work for humans as beasts of burden. To obtain useful material and to train to work with humans is the third step. Now in the sixth lesson we have seen that the dog was domesticated in the Middle Stone Age. The dog is the first animal to have been domesticated. Dogs were used to help with hunting. The goat and sheep were domesticated next. Now also we have dogs as our pet animals to guard our house. But earlier man used to keep dogs for hunting. Okay, now let us go to the next topic, agriculture. Archaeological evidence is available to show that agriculture first began about 11,000 years ago in Israel and Iraq. Women are credited to have started cultivation. They might have used pointed sticks to sow seeds. Women in some tribes still sow seeds by this method. In order to help dig deeper into the soil, the stick was weighted using a perforated stone. Perforated means pierced with a hole or holes. As we can see in this picture, this is a pointed stick. This is a pointed stick and perforated stone. But this is a perforated stone used for sowing. A hole is made in the stone and the stick is pierced in it. Okay, and this stick, see how the women are using here to sow the seeds. We have learnt that people had to stay in one place because of the nature of agricultural work. Agricultural production increased considerably after the plough pulled by animals came into use. See, now man learned to use animals for agriculture. So agriculture became the main source of livelihood. Now people began to worship nature and various deities for good crops. They started worshipping sun, moon, they started worshipping stones, whatever they used to see in the nature, they started worshipping it. Essential things like sharing of agricultural tasks and water resources and the security of the village settlement gained importance. People in the village settlements established some rules and customs to manage these things. Thus, a social system based on agriculture came into existence. Now, special skills and various occupations. Agriculture was the first occupation. Along with that, man learned different occupations also. In the agricultural system, it became possible to store food grains for long periods. There was more food available than was needed by the community. Some women and men thus began to get spare time for experimentation and for using their natural creativity to develop special skills. Children, the quantity of the food grains was much higher than the number of people. So they wanted to store those food grains for a longer periods. So they were doing trial and error that how they can store the food grains. Nowadays we use preservatives, we have advanced technology to store the food grains. But in those days they did not have all those things. Members with such special skills were given work based on those skills. Thus arose crafts like making earthen pots, beads, etc. It is believed that in the New Stone Age, women made earthen pots and other earthen objects by hand. As we can see here in the picture, a woman is making earthen pots. Now we have refrigerators to store the food, but in those days there were no refrigerators. So they used to store in the pots. The water they used to store in the pots. Next is community life based on mutual cooperation. The farmers in the village settlement were now producing surplus food. They needed skilled craftsmen for tasks like making agricultural implements and repairing them. Such craftsmen were paid in the form of food grains or other articles. Children, earlier money was not invented. There was no money transactions. No coins were there, no notes were there. So they used to use food articles or other articles for the payment. The price of this raw material was also paid in the form of food grains, articles, etc. Thus, the barter system of buying and selling was established. Now, what is barter system? The barter system is an old method of exchange. This system has been used for centuries and long before money was invented. People exchanged services and goods for other services and goods in return. So here we can see this person is exchanging apples and with cock. There was no money transactions. The village community made rules for mutual cooperation in order to keep this system of trade and distribution of resources running smoothly. People responsible for the implementation of these rules became the chiefs of village settlements. The chiefs were also entrusted with protection of the village. This is how the village administrative system came into being. Evidence of protective walls and moats around the village settlements of the New Stone Age has been found in excavations. In this picture you can see during excavation they have found walls. Now structure of houses. The houses at the beginning of the New Stone Age were made of wattle and dwarf. The walls were screens woven from sticks or bamboo, plastered with mud or cow dung. Later, the population of the village settlements grew because food was available in plenty. The village settlements became permanent and expanded. Still, later, people began to build quadrangular houses of sun-dried bricks. Some houses appear to have had more than one room. The houses were built very close to each other. Regional differences are seen in the styles of constructing houses depending on the local climate. Now let us talk about village settlement, kinship and family. It appears from the plans of the houses and the village settlements that people staying there belonged to a single clan. That means that they were all related to one another. Thus, the entire village settlement was an extended family. People living in one house were close relations, but they were also members of the extended village family. A dead person was buried either in the house or in the courtyard. Perhaps the idea was that why those people used to do that, the burying of the dead person in the house or in the courtyard. The person's bond with the family should not get cut off even after death. That is why they used to bury the dead in the house itself or in the courtyard. Families would also bury various articles with the dead person for them to use even after death. So they used to believe that there is a life after death also. Daily required materials were there for that person. They used to keep with him. They used to bury those articles also with that dead person. Okay students, we shall stop here now. We have completed the lesson. Complete the notes. First question, fill in the blanks. Second question, answer the following. Write the lesson's name in the beginning, date, and write how it is given. Only question 1 is given, so answer only that much, and then complete the following concept. In your notebook, draw a neat concept chart in your notebook and write the details. Question number 4 in your textbook, write about the usefulness of any 5 domesticated animals. So this question you have to write it on your own. You can choose any 5 domesticated animals and write their uses. Only one use of that animal you can write. Okay. Thank you children. Have a nice day.